Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, distinguished speakers, welcome to the Saudi Food Forward Summit right here in Riyadh, where we convene under the bright skies of innovation to discuss and shape the future of the food manufacturing industry. My name is Alexandra Topalian, and as your Master of Ceremonies, it gives me great pleasure to guide you through an agenda teeming with insight, inspiration, and forward-thinking discussions. As we embrace the digital age, the integration of advanced technologies not only streamlines production, but it also ensures that we can meet the growing demand of our population efficiently and sustainably. From artificial intelligence of food processing to innovative agricultural techniques that conserve water and soil, these are just a few of the topics that you'll be hearing today from our pioneers, our incredible speakers, who are reshaping the landscape of food manufacturing, not only in the kingdom, but globally. So as we embark on this exciting journey together, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to welcome you once again to the Food Forward Summit. Welcome. And now for our first keynote speaker. Have you ever wondered how to make sense of just how artificial intelligence will shape the future of your industry and organization? Our keynote speaker today has researched that problem for years and will share his insight on how to prepare for our exponentially changing AI future. He's a global food futurist speaker, foresight strategy consultant, and qualified food scientist with over 30 years experience in the food industry. He's one of the only of a handful of food futurists globally, and he's here today because his background and experience gives him a unique perspective on the answer to the problem of what AI holds for food, beverage, and ag industries. Everyone, please put your hands together for food futurist Tony Hunter. Welcome, Tony.
Wake up, Daddy Sean.
Welcome, Hamza.
Now, who wouldn't want an AI like that? Something that greets you when you get home, greets you in your office, and can actually act as your own personal assistant. Well, until recently, that seemed like a fantasy, something for the decades to come. And suddenly, as if out of nowhere, exponential change happened and AI burst onto the scene in the form of ChatGPT. Released on November the 30th, 2022, within 5 days, it had over 1 million users, and the world would never be the same again. And this AI space is not standing still. It continues to advance. And as you can see from some of these videos that are coming up, these are from the Sora AI from OpenAI. And it's a dedicated video generating AI. Now, in case you missed it, these are unretouched, raw output from a generative AI. And what we're finding is, though, it's not just AI that's advancing. It's all the technologies to do with food. They are all advancing at a rapid rate. And that's evidenced by the information we get from things like emails, podcasts, webinars, and everything else. They present us with a dizzying array of events and things that can affect the future of our business. And all of this has left the food and ag industries wondering just how will this affect their businesses. So who here gets podcasts Emails? We all get our newsletters? Yes? No, we all do. But have you ever felt overwhelmed by all this information piling up around you? Have you wondered, what does this mean for the future of my business, for the future of my company? And so to do that, we actually need to explore the future, particularly of what AI means to the food industry. And I was talking to my industry friends and asking them, how do you keep up with what's going on? I'd go into their offices and I would speak to them and I would say, how do you keep up with all the information that's piling up around you and what it means for the future of your organisation? Tony, I can't. I have people to recruit, problems to solve, meetings to go to, quarterly results, and you want me to think 5, 10, 20 years out into the future? It's simply not going to happen. And what I realised was my colleagues needed a roadmap, something to guide them through the maze of all this information that was piling up around them. And I believe that the best roadmap to the future of food is based on technologies. Why technologies? Well, you can't talk about food from farm to fork without talking about technology. I mean, food used to be like a sleepy technological backwater compared to industries like the electronics industry. But no more. Technology is now everywhere in food. But it hasn't always been that way. Back in 2017, I was getting my newsletters and my videos, and I'm typing away and I'm looking and going like, oh, I didn't know that technology existed. And I'm looking again. That technology's advanced far faster than I thought. Consumers are moving at an enormous rate. What is going on? So I dug deeper. And the deeper I dug, the more fascinated I became. So after 7 years of research, I've come to the conclusion that we're approaching the intersection of 5 exponential technologies driven by 3 accelerated technologies that will determine the future of food for decades to come. And that's why my roadmap to the future of food and the future of AI in food is built upon technologies. So what are these technologies? They are alternative proteins, cellular agriculture, genomics, the microbiome, and synthetic biology. And our 3 accelerators are AI, sensors, and quantum computing, all leading to our exponential food future. Now, just to be clear, I'm not saying that conventional animal agriculture or crops are going to cease to exist, far from it, just that these 5 technologies are going to be far more influential in determining the future of food than anything we have seen so far. And you're probably wondering, what on earth is a exponential food future? Well, it's built on 2 concepts. The first key concept is that food is now technology. As I said, you cannot separate food and technology. They are inextricably linked. And one thing that we know about technology is that technologies advance exponentially. And a good example of that is Moore's law of computing. Who's heard of Moore's law of computing? Anyone? That's a few people. That says that the number of transistors on a computer chip doubles every 18 months to 2 years. Great example from the electronics industry of exponential growth. And that brings me a nice segue into an example of exponential growth in technologies. Now, this is portable computing, 1975 style. My friend here, Mr. Robert L. Gordon, has his hand on the world's first portable computer, the IBM 5100. Now, would anyone like to guess how much that piece of equipment he has his hand on, how much that weighs? Give me a number, someone. How many kilos? 10? Anyone else? Yep. That weighed 23 kilograms. Do not put that on your airline tray table. It is not going to end well. And that piece of equipment, fully spec'd up, maximum storage, maximum memory, with a printer and some offline storage, cost a princely sum of $19,750 in 1975. Now, that is a staggering $114,370 in today's terms. And even more staggering is that this top-of-the-range machine with a maximum amount of storage came with 64K of storage. Not megabytes, certainly not gigabytes, 64K of storage. Now, the Galaxy Z Fold comes with same size screen, 10 million times the storage, at 1/1000th, at 1/100th of the weight, and all in less than 50 years. And that just goes to show the power of exponential technologies. And what we have to realize is that we humans are linear creatures, right? A day is a day, a week is a week, a year is a year. Sometimes it seems time passes faster, usually when we're on holidays, or slower when we're in a boring meeting. But in reality, time is actually the same. So we humans are linear creatures, but technologies advance exponentially. And it's very dangerous to live linearly in an exponential world. Now, if you have a look at our friend on the graph here, you'll see why. If you look down the bottom left-hand corner, you can see they know where the future's going. They can project where they're going to be in years to come. They just follow the line and they project along the dotted line. And then off they go, and suddenly they look up and they're nowhere near where they thought they would be, because that straight line was not a straight line at all. It was the shallow part of an exponential curve, and where they end up is completely different to where they thought they would be, and that is our exponential shock factor. Just imagine if your business was extrapolating along the dotted line and you found yourself at the end of the exponential curve. What a disaster that could be for your business. So where do these concepts lead us? Food is now, technology is advancing exponentially. Food is now techsponential. And that is why my roadmap to the future of food is built upon technologies. And it's not something that can be left to your technical people who inhabit the lab somewhere down the bowels of your building. It can't even be left to your IT departments, your IT people. This is something these technologies, and AI in particular, need to be front and center for all of the leaders in the organization, from the board level down. They need to understand what these technologies and what AI is going to mean for the future of food. Now, these 5 technologies are going to have a massive effect on both consumers and industry. And we need to understand some of the power of these technologies so that we can see how they're going to have an effect. Now, I'm going to talk today about 2 of these technologies, and you'll see how they fit into the AI-powered food future. And I'm going to talk about genomics and the microbiome, and how our 3 accelerators, AI, sensors, and quantum computing, fit in. Now, genomics is, of course, mapping the genetic profile of an entire organism. Now, that organism can be a human being, that organism could be a plant or an animal. And by far and away, the biggest advance in genomics was the sequencing of the human genome back in 2001. Now, that cost $100 million US. Some say it's greater than that, but let's call it $100 million US. You can see the drop in cost of sequencing a human genome here through to 2022 has dropped to around about, at the end of 22, 600 US dollars. Now, the NIH who produced this graph hadn't updated for the 2023 number, but my estimate is we're going to be down this year close to 100 US dollars to sequence a human genome. And it's beaten Moore's law, virtually the poster child for exponential growth or decline, handily. And where we're at now, it's going to be, let me see, will I give up a coffee every day this month, or will I have my genome sequenced? What the heck, I drink too much coffee. I think I'll have my genome sequenced. That is how common it is going to be for people to have access to their genomic sequencing. And all of this, if we link up our genetics and how that affects our nutrition, that is the science of nutrigenomics. And what they've done is they've linked parts of our DNA to how we metabolize food. Caffeine is a good one. Different people metabolize caffeine at different rates. And it's spun off companies like Genopalette, who will analyze your DNA and they will give you diets and foods that they say are good for your DNA. Now, is this perfect? No. But hey, every day it gets better and better and better. Now, your genes account for probably around 35% of your reaction to food. The other 65% we'll come to in a minute. But there's definitely something to how your nutrition is affected by your genes. And if we look out towards what I would call the bleeding edge, here we have, at the bleeding edge, soccer genomics. Get your children's DNA analysed and they will tell you whether they should play soccer or not, and whether they will recover quickly or not recover quickly. Now, I can see a few smiles in the audience there, and I've got to say, I think this is so bleeding edge it bled out, because I cannot find them on the internet anymore. But whilst we may laugh at this, it's a signal that it even occurred at all. And think 10, 20 years out, will this actually be accurate? Only time will tell. Now, the other technology I want to talk about is the microbiome. Now, the microbiome is all of those bacteria, viruses, fungi, and everything that live on and in our bodies. And the largest amount of those live in our gut. And they have a dramatic effect on us. Now, if we have a look at this science, it hasn't been around for that long. Now, when I did my degree in the dim, dark past, the only good microbe was a dead microbe, right? But we're now finding that's not the case. And if you look at the research that's being done, back in 2005, there were maybe 100 papers published a year on the microbiome. In 2022, it was over 20,000 papers. Now, it's tapered off in 2023, 24, and 24 is just a pro rata number. Maybe that's because we just don't have enough scientists in the microbiome space to produce any more papers than the 25,000. But it's an enormous growth area. And what we've learned is that our microbiome is absolutely essential to our health and nutrition. And it can affect so many things. It can affect our mood. It can affect our sleep. It can even be linked to some diseases. And also, of course, it's linked to our nutrition. Because what we've found is that how we all react to food is absolutely highly individual. They've done tests where you can take two people. Person A, you feed them a cookie and you check their blood glucose. Cookie sends their blood glucose high. Feed them a banana, not so much. Right? Common sense, right? Person B, we feed them the banana and their blood glucose goes through the roof. Feed them the cookie and it doesn't. That is how individual our responses are to food. And they've tracked this back to our microbiome. If we were to test the gut microbiome of everyone in this room, any two people will probably only share about 35% of their microbiome. The PREDICT study in the UK showed that twins only share 37% of their microbiome. So it's not genetically determined. It's determined by your environment, where you live, rural, urban, what you eat, whether you exercise, don't exercise. All sorts of things affect your microbiome. But one thing that's for sure is cannot overestimate the contribution of the microbiome to human nutrition. It is absolutely enormous. And companies here like Viome will do that for you. They will test your microbiome and they will tell you what foods you should or shouldn't eat, what is best for you, and they'll even provide you with supplements to help you to establish, they believe, a better microbiome. So that is the power of the microbiome. And there's actually as many neurons around your gut as the brain of a cat. So maybe gut feelings from our second brain are more important than we think. Now we come to our accelerators, AI, quantum computing and sensors. And the first one I want to talk about is sensors. Now, 1 in 3 people in the US use some sort of smart device to check their health. And here we have the Galaxy S6. Now, the Galaxy S6, it will check your heartbeat, it will check your heart rate and look for arrhythmia. So you can go to your GP and say, my heart's not beating properly. It will check your body mass index for you and tell you, Tony, you ate too much at the hotel while you're in Riyadh. I think you better stop eating a bit when you get home. And it will also, most importantly, check our sleep, because we now know how important sleep is to overall human health and nutrition. And the other thing that we have besides smartwatches, we have smart rings. We have the Oura ring. And that will do a similar thing. It will check your heart rate. It will check your sleep patterns. It will check your health as well and your exercise. And it will check that for a whole month and be able to compare that for you and show you just how you're going. It'll even do your blood oxygen level, and it will take your temperature. And it's waterproof. So you can go swimming and you can take a shower in your Oura ring. Now, these have been around for a while, but the real cutting edge is with e-skins and tattoo sensors. If you look at the top right-hand corner, that is a smart skin that goes on your wrist, developed by Caltech, and it's self-powered from the sweat on your skin. And it will check all sorts of metabolites, your blood glucose level, your heart rate again. All sorts of things can be done through that e-skin. And if you look at the top left, that is a liquid metal tattooed sensor that's waterproof from a university in Korea. So we will be able to check an enormous amount of metabolites and follow our nutrition as the years go by. And of course, what we need to do, though, is we need to analyze that data. And that is where something called Harvey and Harvetta come in. They are virtual physiological twins, 1 male, 1 female. It models 80,000 biochemical reactions, 26 organs, 6 blood types, and your microbiome to tell you how you're reacting to food and the status of your health. So imagine that, 80,000 biochemical reactions. So how on earth do we make sense of that? And that, of course, is where AI comes in, because only a generative AI is going to be able to analyze this data, because traditional AIs work around explicit that are put into that computer, that AI, by human programmers. Whereas generative AI looks for patterns in the data it's trained on and then produces novel outcomes and predictions. And that, of course, is what AI will be doing. It'll be taking your data and training itself on your data so that you know what's good for you and what's not. And, of course, how do we crunch all these numbers? Enormous amount of data. 1 billion, several billion people with billions of data points every second tracking their health. Most likely only quantum computers will be able to do that. And what does all this mean for consumers? Well, it's all about, in the future, it's going to be about personalisation, because that's what people are after. And you may not know it or think about it, but personalisation is everywhere. Who here has streaming video or streaming audio service? Yep, lots of people. So you, like me, get all those emails that say, you like this song, you may like that song. We've got a new movie you may like because you gave a double thumbs up to this movie. So personalisation is everywhere. And to think that we're going to move towards personalisation in everything except food, I think is highly unlikely, particularly as we are realising just how individual we are in our response to food. So what we're going to end up is, we are going to end up in our shell. We are going to be surrounded by an AI shell that's looking inwards to our body, to our senses, how we react to food, and looking outwards to the outside world and interacting with other AIs from other companies, restaurants, supermarkets. We might say, oh, I want a can of soup. Well, which can of soup's best for you? Your AI will find out, and it will double check to make sure it's not being fooled by the company's AI. And you might think that, oh, the food police. No, it's not going to be the food police. We're still going to remain in control. The AI is not going to say, Tony, no chocolate for you, I'm afraid. Again, you ate too much in Riyadh, or no chocolate cake, I'm declining your Visa card. Now, you might think that this is a little bit far-fetched, but perhaps when you listen to this video, you might not quite think so much.